Welcome to TRT World. I'm Nadia Muftic, and in this week's Across the Balkans, we bring you the latest stories from the region and how countries, governments and the people are affected. Serbia has signed defense contracts with Israel worth over $1.5 billion since the genocide on Gaza began, making it one of Israel's most significant European military partners. Elbit Systems, Israel's largest private arms company, now reportedly supplies Serbia with drones, rocket systems and surveillance technology. This week, a joint investigation by Balkan Investigative Reporting Network and the Israeli newspaper Haaretz revealed that Serbia and Elbit plan to go further, manufacturing combat drones together on Serbian soil. Katarina Petrovic has more.
Over 70,000 Palestinians have been killed in Gaza since October 2023. The conflict has forced every government worldwide to choose a side. Most chose carefully. Serbia's government chose quietly and without clear public disclosure to its own citizens, who for over a year have been filling the streets in the largest civic uprising the country has seen in decades. While the people marched, their government was doing business. Official Serbian trade data shows Serbia's arms exports to Israel reached 114 million euros by the end of 2025, roughly 40 times higher than before the attacks began. Artillery shells, ammunition, loaded onto cargo planes at Belgrade airport.
From the Israeli perspective, it is certainly an attempt to win potentially European defense markets by placing the production facility in a country which is close to the Middle East, but still far away from the immediate conflict zone.
And now an investigation by Byrne and Haaretz reveals it's going further, not just selling weapons, making them, with Elbit Systems, Israel's largest private arms company, as the reported partner. Days after the investigation was published, President Aleksandar Vučić publicly admitted that Serbia plans to jointly manufacture combat drones with Israel.
Serbian institutions are always ignoring us. So you import as the major Serbian arms company which is going to do this project with Elbit, completely ignored our questions. And the Israeli company Elbit, they had a comment, no comment.
Production is reportedly set to begin soon. The partner is one of the most controversial companies on the planet, and in a country where millions took to the streets demanding accountability for corruption, most people had no idea any of this was happening until now. Many Serbians, like Ana, a Belgrade resident, have been closely following how people in other countries fought to stop exactly these kinds of deals and what it took to win.
U zadnjih godinu dana vlada Velike Britanije, kao što znamo, je vršila ogroman pritisak i represiju nad tim aktivistima, ali oni su zapravo uspeli da zaustave dalju saradnju između te vlade i Elbit Systemsa. Dakle, dolazimo do trenutka kada Izrael i Elbit Systems traže plodno tlo da nastave sa genocidom i u tom trenutku pronašli su, Srbiju.
Byrne's Sasha Dragojlo spent weeks investigating who the partner was and where the factory would be built.
Basically, at the end, when we were ready to publish our investigation, we had official documents and several independent sources claiming that Elbit and Serbia will partner in a drone factory on the Serbian territory. Israel was basically a privileged partner. Serbian president last year in June said that they will stop all arms exports, but it didn't happen when it comes to Israel. Last year there were 36 arms flights from Serbia to Israeli army base.
Israel is still one of their remaining gateways to the White House. So they believe that if they are on good terms with Israel, they will get protection from Israeli lobby groups in the US, and that will enable them to establish a better rapport with the incumbent administration in the White House.
Ja tumačim ovaj projekat i ovu saradnju kao znak očaja vlade Republike Srbije da ostane na vlasti, prvo, i drugo da izbegne dalji gnev i otpora građana po ekonomskim pitanjima. To što oni će da i dalje produbljuju svoje saučesništvo u genocidu i tako dalje je njima nebitno.
Marko leads support for the people of Palestine, Serbia, the group behind some of the first pro-Palestinian protests in Belgrade, in the square and outside embassies.
We believe that this move is not popular at all, and this is a way for the imperialist Zionist alliance to basically have Vučić do its dirty work, because it no longer can openly be as pro-Israel as it was previously. And we think this factor will endanger Serbia in a way that it will include it into a list of military targets potentially, and on the other hand that with cooperation with Israel comes a lot of Islamophobia, and this will cause issue in ethnic relations between Serbs and Bosniaks and wider in the region, and relations of Serbia with Muslim countries in general.
Amnesty International found that Serbian authorities used Israeli-made technology to install spyware on the phones of activists and journalists, including 2 burned journalists.
The position of Serbian investigative journalists is dire in the whole country. For years, we were always targeted by the pro-government media as traitors, as foreign mercenaries, as someone who's working against the state, which is completely opposite what we're doing. We're working for the public interest. We're trying to reflect important things for the people so they can understand what is going on. And of course, there's a lot of pressure by the discourse that is being created that every critic of Israel is being anti-Semitic. And that is the only thing that I think it's quite dangerous, and what I faced personally.
Jako mi je žao i osjećam gnev zbog toga što će Palestinci dobiti poruku od naše vlade da mi ne podržavamo njihovu borbu kao što nekada jesmo u ovoj državi, u Jugoslaviji. Ova elita koja treba takozvano da predstavi naroda umesto da zagovara za palestinsku slobodu, ona profitira i koristi naše pare da otvara fabriku smrti.
A Lancet study estimated that of the roughly 75,000 people who were killed in Gaza by early 2025, more than half were women, children, and older people. Decisions made in secret, alliances built in the dark, driven less by strategy than by the need to survive one more political season. The people of this country spent a year and a half demanding to know who their state really serves. This week, they got part of the answer. Katarina Petrović, Across the Balkans, Belgrade.
For more on the military cooperation between Serbia and Israel, I'm joined by Associate Professor Gokhan Cinkara from Necmettin Erbakan University. Professor, welcome to the Across the Balkans. It's a pleasure to have you here with us.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
So, how significant is the growing cooperation between Serbia and Israel, particularly with the announcement of the joint Elbit system drone and weapons production project?
If we just view this standard defense contract between two countries, we are completely missing the big picture. What we are looking at is a massive paradigm shift that will deeply shake the geopolitical fault lines and power balances of the Western Balkans. And the partnership between Serbia's state-owned Yugo import and the Israeli defense giant Elbit system isn't just a simple transaction. We are talking about a joint venture where Elbit holds a 51% majority stake, establishing a direct production base right on Serbian soil. And when we analyze this through the lens of historical sociology, the picture becomes very clear. Let's remember the fundamental rule emphasized by the famous sociologist Charles Tilly: war-making capacity and state-making are inextricably linked. And so what Serbian President Vučić is doing here is exactly that, elevating the state's sovereign and the deterrent capacity to the next level. And Serbia is abandoning its clunky and post-Yugoslav and warfare and high-altitude UAVs. You could say they are trying to establish a sort of technological supremacy, and maybe in the region, a digital and military feudalism in the Western Balkans. And they are transitioning to a model where whoever produces and controls the tech and dictates the regional politics. And so they won't just be assembling parts at this facility in Simonovic, just outside Belgrade. They are going to produce long-range drones capable of climbing above 6 kilometers with heavy payload capacities, which goes way beyond Serbia's current Pagaz drones. And having Serbian engineers directly integrated with Israeli technology is a full-scale technology transfer. In short, Serbia is transforming from a security consumer waiting for foreign weapons into a co-producer of advanced lethal war tech. It is becoming a Balkan defense hub, and this is more that rewrites the strategic map of the region.
Exactly. We will speak about that a little bit later also, but I would like to ask that the UN Special Rapporteur on the occupied Palestinian territories, Francesca Albanese, claims that weapons produced by Elbit systems are being used to commit genocide in Gaza. Given Serbia's history, what impact could this have relations with its neighbor and its Europe?
I think this is the most fragile and, frankly, the most diplomatically radioactive dimension of the entire issue. When an authority like UN Special Rapporteur Francesca Albanese explicitly names a company stating their weaponry is tied to tragedy and civilian casualties in Gaza, and sitting down at the table with that exact company is highly calculated, yet incredibly risky diplomatic gamble for Belgrade. And think about Serbia's integration process with the European Union. The EU defines itself as a bloc built on values, human rights, and international legal framework. And I think with this move, Serbia is sending a very clear message to Brussels also. My hard military power and pragmatic national interests take priority over your normative values. And at a time when the rules-based international order is fracturing, European capitals are watching with deep unease as Serbia brings a company accused of war crimes in Gaza right into the heart of Europe. And then, of course, there is a regional psychological dimension which cuts much deeper. And, you know, the Balkans still hold the dark traumas, ethnic conflicts, and massacres of the 1990s very fresh in their collective memory. When Serbia carrying that kind of historical baggage brings in highly destructive Israeli weaponry, weapons battle-tested in asymmetric urban warfare, as you know, it instantly triggers security anxiety among its neighbors.
Yes, I need to mention this, Professor. In light of this UN's claims, how damaging is it that data indicates Serbia's arms exports to Israel have increased 40 times over since October 2023?
I think in international relations, the rhetoric of politicians is often just a smokescreen. And the real story is always told by the data, the numbers, and the supply lines. And the fact that Serbia's arms export to Israel have increased, as you mentioned, 40-fold since October 23, surpassing 114 million euros, is a staggering piece of data. And Serbia's image is taking a massive hit in this area, because Serbia is no longer a passive observer. It is an active supply node feeding the Israeli war machine. However, decision makers in Belgrade made a rational choice for themselves because they need massive influxes of cash and they need top-tier military technology from Israel and the expansion of their own defense industry. And Belgrade has definitively, I think, choosing economic opportunism over diplomatic initiatives in the Gaza conflict.
I have to ask, Professor, is Israel basically using Serbia as a strategic base to expand its military industrial influence in Europe and in Balkans especially?
I think yes, absolutely yes. My short answer, Israel is essentially offshoring its production to a safe harbor. They are turning Serbia into a backup engine, I think, unshakable supply base right in the middle of Europe.
Is it possible that at the same time Serbia using Israel as well to get close to the US?
Yes, I think yes, because this is a flawless and textbook example of what we in political science call diplomacy by proxy. And it is a golden rule in international relations. If you can't reach the hegemon directly, meaning the US, if you have problems with them, you leverage their most valued ally. Today, the road from Belgrade to Washington, D.C. absolutely runs through the Tel Aviv. And when we look at Serbia's relationship with Washington, we see pressure coming from multiple directions. As you know, the U.S. constantly secures Belgrade regarding the status of Kosovo, and likewise Serbia's refusal to sanction Russia, and it is deepening economic ties with China, constantly flash red lights in Washington. And President Vučić is highly pragmatic leader to break this pressure. He needs to find a powerful shield, a strong advocate within the American political establishment, and is, as you know, the pro-Israel lobby.
Turkey has significant influence in the Balkans. So what do you think of the recent Israeli government targeting of Turkey's leadership?
I think we need to read this very clearly. The toxic geopolitical fault lines of the Middle East are intentionally being dragged into the Balkan Peninsula. The highly aggressive rhetoric from Israeli officials targeting Turkey's leadership is not just a momentary outburst of anger. I think it is a calculated strategy to try to erode Ankara's diplomatic and moral gravity on the global stage. Because there is an ontological difference between Turkey's presence in the Balkans and Israel's presence. Turkey is not a guest in that geography. With its historical roots and cultural diplomacy and economic integration, Ankara is a structural anchor, a balancing element of the Balkans. Israel, on the other hand, is currently trying to parachute in using only hard power and the defense contracts. And by attacking Turkey, Israel wants to isolate Ankara and create perception for countries like Serbia that Israel is a new pragmatic power center in the region. However, this Israel strategy not possible to underestimate the Turkey's strategic depth.
Professor, thank you so much for joining us on Across the Balkans. It was a pleasure to have you here with us. Thousands of people have been refused entry to the European Union, with hundreds identified as a security threat by a new border check system. It's created long queues and raises questions about whether entries and exits into and from the EU will create more disruption than efficiency. Adam Amunu has more.
No one likes a queue, especially a long one. Social media users have been reporting significant delays as they try to enter the EU. And it's primarily due to complications with the EU's new entry-exit system, which is supposed to reshape how non-EU nationals are processed at airports, seaports and land crossings throughout the region. Also known as the EES, This system electronically records the entry and exit of non-EU travellers into and out of the Schengen area, collecting biometric data and eliminating the need for a physical passport stamp. It began with a phased implementation last October and became fully operational on April 10th. However, it does not apply to EU countries outside the Schengen area, such as Iceland and Cyprus. But it's not been so smooth sailing. Thousands of people have been refused entry to the EU. 700 of those were identified as security threats.
Travelers are slightly anxious. We know with the Mideast crisis and the concerns around rising prices of fuel, rising ticket prices, and airlines potentially cancelling their flights, that people are anxious, which is going to mean waiting at the airport is going to be even more frustrating.
For travellers from non-EU Balkan countries, the frustrations are particularly acute. There have been reports of passengers arriving from Bosnia and Herzegovina having faced waiting times of up to 3 hours. The Croatian Automobile Club also reported increased traffic at most border crossings with Bosnia and Herzegovina, Serbia and Montenegro since the new system was introduced. Over recent weeks, Bosnian truck drivers blocked roads near the border with Croatia to protest the new system. These drivers can only stay in the Schengen area for up to 90 days every 180 days. They say that this duration is inadequate for completing their work.
Mi 15 mjeseci pokušavamo da riješimo taj problem. Mi nismo u mogućnosti da idemo u Brisel, da mi protestujemo u Briselu. Mi blokiramo i protestujemo u svojoj državi i zahtijevamo od naše države i naših institucija da oni rade svoj posao. Pokušavamo, evo za ono što znam, da smo samo u posljednjem martu imali smo preko 200 povrataka sa granice Republike Hrvatske. Ono što će se desiti poslije, to će sigurno značiti otprilike kako smo vršili procjene i analize u konzorciju logistika, da mi neki sigurno 50-60% kapaciteta naši vozači neće moći da radi.
While the EU maintains the new system will modernize border control and strengthen security, its rollout has already been met with frustration from travellers across Europe. But it might be some time before the situation improves. Adam Amunu across the Balkans.
Many countries are working to preserve their indigenous breeds. In North Macedonia, a remarkable story is unfolding around an ancient shepherd dog known as the Karaman that has recently officially been recognized as a distinct breed. The move marks a major milestone in safeguarding its heritage. Azra Vildic has the story.
Across the Balkans and beyond, agriculture is closely tied to heritage, encompassing traditional farming methods and native animal breeds. Shepherd dogs are among the clearest examples of this connection. Each country is seeking recognition for its autochthonous breeds. Croatia's Dalmatian is among the most globally recognized examples. Bosnia and Herzegovina has Tornjak, which has long protected livestock in mountainous areas. In Turkey, the Kangal is known for its strength and protective instincts. Throughout the region, similar breeds continue to play a vital role, shaped by landscape, climate, and tradition. In North Macedonia, a breed has recently gained international recognition. The Karaman sheepdog received provisional acknowledgement from the International Canine Federation, marking a major step in preserving its unique legacy. For breeders and experts, this official recognition is not just symbolic, it's a way to protect, promote, and ensure the survival of a uniquely national breed. The Karaman is a large, muscular dog with a thick coat and curled tail, known for its calm temperament and strong protective instincts. It's found primarily in the mountainous regions of western North Macedonia. At the remote St. Jovan Bigorski Monastery, efforts are underway to preserve the Karaman. Orthodox priest Porifiri is among the locals who are seeking to do so.
2016 година се запознавме со Ико, председател на Кинолошкиот сојуз, и ја видов таа негова голема жар за расата на караманите да се стандартизира, нели, како наше автохтоно куче. И посакав да им се вклучам во таа нивна misija.
Ilya Karov, the local kennel club manager for the Karaman, believes that controlled breeding can improve the breed's future.
Програмата за ревитализација и презервација на македонското овчарско куче Караман ја напишав некаде на средината на 2017 година. Тоа што подразбира, ако би влегол премногу стручно да ви објаснувам, ќе ве изгубам, него тоа значи дека се регрутираат постојано примероци од планините и се интегрираат во рамките на оние кучиња кои што се родени под капата на контролираното одгледување во рамките на кинолошкиот клуб.
Despite progress, challenges remain. Rural depopulation and the decline of traditional farming threaten the breed's existence.
Во моментот на територијата на цела Македонија има над 2000 кучиња, но не се сите во релација со клубот. Значи има некои едноставно сточари и слично излегуваат, нови, знаете, се случуваат и немили настани. Караман, кој што е во работна релација со теренот, знае понекогаш да го снема. Отишло мечка, волк и слично.
As the Karaman gains long-awaited recognition, it stands as a symbol of heritage and resilience in the changing world. Azra Vildić, across the Balkans.
Thank you for watching TRT World and letting us once again take you across the Balkans. That is all from the team for this week. We hope to see you next time.